Meanwhile, the decision to eradicate Mycoplasma bovis may mean the end of dairying for Waikato farmer Henk Smit. Mr Smit, whose farm is the first in the Waikato region to test positive, told our reporter Zac Fleming after hearing of the decision that he no longer has the energy to start again once his herd is culled. Now, MPI confirmed last week a farm owned by Alphonse and Gia Zestraten in Southland had the earliest known Mycoplasma bovis infection. Well, Henk Smit told Zac and our cameraman Nick Monroe he purchased a herd of cows from that farm 2 years ago.
I got in contact with Alphonse and he told me he had 600 cows for sale. And on the 1st of June 2016 I flew down south and I picked 240 cows out of the 600. Those were the cows that I liked, and sort of in the following 2 weeks these cows were trucked up to the North Island.
And never had any issues with them?
No, nothing. No.
And then what, sometime last year you found out that Alphonse had bovis on his farm, and did you straight away put two and two together and think that the cows that you bought from him a year earlier could also have bovis?
Alphonse rang me in the first week of December 2017 and he said, Henk, we've just been diagnosed with having N. bovis in the cows. I thought you should know. And
what do you mean you should know?
Well, that's what he said to me, you know. I think you should know that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that's why you rang. And I expected a phone call from MPI within the next few days.
So that's instantly what went to your mind,
yeah.
that the cows that you bought off him more than a year ago probably had bovis?
It has the potential of some of them have the potential of having bovis. But it took 6 weeks before I had that first phone call of MPI. So the first contact, I think it was the 14th of January. At that stage, the chap that I spoke to, he wasn't aware that the 240 cows that I trucked up went to 3 different farms. But I explained it to him that I only landed 40 cows on this farm, there's 90 cows on another farm and 110 cows on a third farm. And he said, oh, we'll be in touch. And
did he sound concerned once you told him that they were spread across 3 different farms?
No, I mean, the guy is just doing his job, you know. We had a few phone calls through February about it, and on the 5th of March there was a chap turned up here and he brought me a notice of direction that I was restricted in my movements of cattle.
At all 3 of those farms?
Yeah, I mean, one farm doesn't belong to me, and there was a different party. But all 3 farms were put under a notice of direction, and then I think 10 days later they started blood testing the cows. And for me it's the easiest to speak about my farm here because I work with the animals, I understand what happened here. And 15th of March, 16th of March the blood tests, the blood samples went to the lab. 18th of March they came out of the lab, and it was not until the 7th of April that I got approached by MPI that there was a problem here.
And that problem is they believe that M. bovis was on the farm?
Well, I think it's for people that don't quite understand what's going on. The blood test is only testing if animals are carrying antibodies against Mycoplasma. So they identified a number of animals on the farm here that had antibodies against Mycoplasma. And then there's, I think, 166 different Mycoplasmas. So then they have to identify which one it is. And for this farm here, they haven't been able to identify which Mycoplasma it is because you have to find the bacteria. And they searched the blood test, the blood samples. Couldn't find the bacteria, couldn't find no bacterial DNA in there. Then we did nasal swabs on the positive cows. That hasn't brought up anything. Every day my milk is being picked up, the milk is tested if it contains bovis, and so far on this farm nothing has been found. The infected property, that's where about 3 weeks ago the bovis all of a sudden appeared in the milk. even then, in the blood samples and nasal swabs, I haven't been able to find anything.
Do you regret buying those cows off Alphons?
No, look, I've done lots of things in life where you think maybe I shouldn't have done that, but no, I don't think regret is a good thing. It's happened, you learn from it. And I love those cows. Alphons is a very good farmer. He's a good breeder of stock, and he had the type of cows that I like. And I mean, I was there on the 1st of June 2016, and he took me over his whole property. And the property is split in 3 operations. And he might have had some cattle grazing away off his farm, but what I saw there, it was all tip-top, you know, the animals were good.
Henk Smit talking to Zac Fleming. Now, Henk went on to say he'd sent weaned calves from his infected property to Kaitaia for grazing 18 months ago.
What I've understood now is the transfer of bovis from animal to animal is almost minimal in the animal to animal contact. What I've seen is the biggest vector is milk, contaminated milk, contaminated with bovis, drunk by little calves, and that's a perfect way of almost infecting 100% of the mob. So now in hindsight, on the infected property, we reared calves there, and there's a very, very good chance that a number, if not all of them, are positive. A number of these animals we sold as weaners, but these went up north, and they were due to come home last week. Well, they were due to come home earlier, but it didn't happen until last week because the logistics is not always easy from all the way Kaitaia to Cambridge. And then all of a sudden we realised these animals can't come on the farm because the farm is infected place and you're not allowed to bring anything on. I rang MPI and I said the safest place for these animals is on the infected property. You've got to give us dispensation. And he said, no way, you're not allowed to bring them. We weren't sure what to do with the cattle because you can't land anyone else with this cattle being potentially infected.
No one else probably wants it, do they?
No, and I mean if you bring it, you have to disclose it. So in the end, Monday night last week, they were dropped off at the freezing works in Tikawiti to be killed the next morning. And then the next morning they realised on the paperwork it said these animals were under withholding for Sadectin, so they couldn't be killed for the next 3 weeks. So these animals have gone to grazing in someone else's cattle. And I told that story at the meeting on Friday, and now I got a call today that there's a permit there for these cattle to come back on the infected property.
You said you've had death threats and your children have been like bullied and those sorts of things. Is that happening? With
my kids, that was earlier on already, you know, because there was whispers.
What was happening to them?
Oh, I'll give you, for instance, my youngest son. He's on another farm, but he plays rugby. But he turns up for rugby practice, and his team asks him to have a shower first, you know, because they don't want to play with him. Particularly after I spoke on Friday, I've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of messages, a lot of texts, and I would say 98% of it was in support. But unfortunately there's a few loonies out there, yeah, and even, I mean, I don't take my phone at night time, but overnight of this morning I picked up a message here that wasn't very attractive.
What do you mean not very attractive?
Oh, that I have to watch my back.
That is Henk Smit talking to our reporter Zac Fleming.